And then when she saw how captivating I was looking and how good looking and everything, she couldn't resist me. And then she said that she'll kill herself if I don't marry her.
Jesus.
I think I met my wife first before she met me.
Exactly.
I'm saying this because on the 22nd of June 2013, I was invited for a book launch, and I just felt like honoring the pastor, even though that day I had other events that day where I was billed to minister and I've used my picture for publicity. So I felt like, let me just attend this book launch for 5 minutes and take permission and leave.
Yeah.
Only to arrive there that day, and then this pretty damsel happened to be the one that ushered me. She was one of the ushers there. She ushered me to my seat as a guest.
I didn't know I ushered him.
She didn't know.
Because I ushered lots of people. I didn't take special notice.
But the minute I saw her, I became glued to her face. And then while I was sitting down, I became so uncomfortable. I was not even paying attention to whatever was going on in that place. I was looking at her while she was standing and doing her ushering job. And then from the 5 minutes, I didn't go for another program that day. I stayed there from that 6 p.m. till like 9 p.m.
He was captivated.
Thinking I'm going to talk to her, I'm going to approach her. I said, if I go and tell her now that this, we don't say pastor came here to look for a woman, we don't say pastor came here to meet. So I was struggling with all that, and I couldn't talk to her that day, and then she left. I started looking for her since that day. I went to some persons I saw her talk to that day, and then they gave me, one person, I won't mention him, gave me a phone number of a lady that the lady happens to be her very close friend, that I should talk to the lady. Only for me to talk to the lady, and then I didn't know the lady. I called on phone, but when I mentioned my name, she already knew me, and then instead of linking me up to her, the lady started liking me and preferring me for herself. And I made it clear that it's not you I want your friend, but the lady refused connecting me to her. And as God may have it, on my birthday is on 13th October, but I celebrated on the 18th of October that same year. And then on my birthday, she happened to come to my birthday with another man of God, another pastor. They were going somewhere. I think they were going to First Love Assembly that day. So the pastor then told her to come and tell me, the celebrant, that so man of God wants to see me outside. And when she came to deliver the message, the next thing I came out from my mouth, I said, you. And she was surprised while I would. I said, you. I've been looking for you, my dear. And then I took her to one corner. I said, even if a dog doesn't bark in public or outside, the dog was back in his own house. I said, so I couldn't tell you anything that I saw you, but today, this is my own event. I'm going to tell you something. I said, I'm your husband.
Hey.
And she was just looking at me, a stranger, saying this. I said, go and tell your parents that you have finally met your husband. It was strange to her. And so I also went to see the pastor that sent her to me. And I told the pastor, I'm so sorry. I've been looking for this lady since. I want to marry her. It was strange to the pastor too.
Very strange.
Very strange. But just one thing into another. I got her number officially that day and went to look for her in school. And I went to look for her in Alliance Française, where she was attending her French program. And then when she saw how captivating I was looking and how good looking and everything, she couldn't resist me. And then she said that she'll kill herself if I don't marry her.
Jesus.
So that's how I met her.
Well, he told you just now that he met me first. But the thing is, when I saw him, I really liked him, He looked good and he still looks good. And I told myself I wouldn't marry an ugly man. So that's just one of the things that made me to fall in love with him. There was no official proposal.
This I told you, that's what just happened.
Will you, kneel down? Or even if you don't kneel down, just, will you marry me? All those. But this one just told me, go and tell your father you have seen your husband. Can you imagine? Sent me on an assignment.
And I remember that sometimes I call on phone, like the next day I call on phone, I said, did you tell your dad about your husband? And she was like, I didn't propose officially actually. I just said, did you tell her about it? She was like, we were just meeting. I said it to me, I've met you a long time ago. Jordan was seen for the first time, but we have met in the rest of the spirit. And then, so I kept mounting pressure. So I'll call her, say, you're in the house. I said, I'm talking to you now. What's your dad? Your dad is the parlor. I said, go to the parlor and tell him that your husband wants to come and see him. So,
straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
for 6 years. Though this year, 2021, 16th August will make us 7 years.
Yeah. I don't know if God spoke to her about me. Maybe she just was lusting after my good looks and everything. She told you how I'm handsome and she couldn't resist me. I'm irresistible, But just leave that side. But to me, God spoke to me actually. What I'm saying this is, prior to the day I met her, that 22nd or 23rd June 2013, close to a year to that day, I had a dream. I saw myself my wedding day. I was getting married to someone I've never met the person in my life before. And I explained the dream to the people in the church, and the prayer band started praying with me. And later on, some person told me, I went to some senior men of God. They said that God is showing me my wife, the person I get married to, but maybe I've not met the person, but God will bring the person to me, that God will show me ahead of time. Because as at that point, there were people I was hoping that this is the person I'll get married to. I had that dream. So I said, how can I be wedding in a dream? And then none of the ladies I was having in mind, I'm wedding a total stranger, a face I've not seen before. So when I saw her that day, why I became captivated is that immediately I saw her, I remembered that dream, and it was exactly the face I saw on that dream. And if you attended my wedding, and if you're also present in the wedding in my dream, you'll see that my wedding was exactly what I saw, I featured in the dream.
Okay, no, God did not expressly speak to me like people will say, oh, I heard a voice, or I had a dream. But the thing is, because of my understanding of the word of God and the kind of husband I want based on the word of God, I'm a Christian. Of course, I should expect a man who is also a Christian, who is born again, who is loving, who is caring. I had checklists of the qualities I wanted in a man, aside spirituality, because I always said I wanted a man who would make me to grow spiritually. So aside that, I also had other checklists. I had, one is that I wouldn't marry a man who is not handsome, who is not tall, who doesn't know how to dress. These are the maybe carnal qualities or physical qualities. So, but I had checklists, and when I saw him, he, had all the qualities I wanted, both spiritual qualities and physical qualities. And so I went for him. At first, I was a bit discouraged. I think I would have loved to marry this man, but he's a pastor. Hey, pastor's wife. Oh, hey. And you know that even up till now, people are still shocked that I'm married to a pastor and we are doing well. But then when I said, oh, he's a pastor, I then said, but pastors are human beings as well. And why am I afraid? What a believer would do ordinarily is what a pastor would do, or a pastor's wife. So there's nothing there. And I went for it. And I'm not regretting my marriage, I can tell you.
Just to add to this, even if God had told her that I'm not the right choice, instead of saying no to me, she would rather fast and ask God to change things. I met her when I told, but she told me she was tripping for me from love at first sight.
You wish.
Wow, if I'm to define marriage, the Bible says marriage is honorable. My own marriage, I've seen honor in my marriage. I would say marriage is sweet. It's the sweetest thing anyone should wish for. Marriage is sweet. And I'm going to define marriage based on my own marriage. But my own marriage is sweet. My marriage is sweeter than honey. Honey. So I will say marriage is sweet. Marriage is beautiful. Marriage is wonderful. Marriage is everything good. Yes.
Okay. Marriage is wonderful. Marriage is beautiful. The challenge is that a lot of persons have wrong definitions of what marriage is because of the bad experiences they've had, maybe with their parents or their relatives. But I can assure you that marriage is beautiful. Marriage enhances a person. If you want to do well, just get married to the right person and you will see that you will fly.
Wow. Well, it was a challenging thing. We've had challenges together, but not as if there's something that's a challenge I faced in her as a person. It has to do with something we both faced in a marriage. And It ranges from, I can say this challenges range from finance, especially finance. There was a period in our lives, so people see us today now looking flashy. They see the glory and they don't know the story.
I'm telling you.
Sometimes the story is not as beautiful or as sweet as the glory you say. There's the point in our lives where we could barely feed. I'm telling you the gospel truth. We could barely feed ourselves. We could barely afford even clothes. We could barely afford things. In fact, to hit the nail on the head, there was a period that for more than 3 months, we could not cook soup in a house. 6 months. We could not cook soup in the house. And even if we wanted to cook soup, we cook it without protein. And nobody will know outside. Only both of us will know about it. Then there was one period, where we were living at Adajot, up Adajot that period, and the church is at D-line. For more than 3 months to 4 months, we were trekking down from Adajot to D-line, come and run service. We trek down to church together and trek home together after service. Because no money to even pay transport. And my car was bad that period, no money to fix the car, so I just abandoned the car. And then sometimes we'll just drink. Let me use the right word. If I use some adjective, no understand. We drink gari because no food in the house. After drinking the gari, we start trekking down to the church from Adajot to D-line.
Sometimes when I go to court or I go to the MBA house and I see people eat in the restaurant and Carol, what would you want to eat? And I just say thank you, I'm fine, because I don't want it to become regular. Because it lasted for a long time. And it's not when you buy me food today, tomorrow it will look somehow. So I just had to control myself. Oh, thank you, I'm fine. Meanwhile, I am very hungry. Each time I go for meetings and there is food, I make sure I eat.
And what we did that period was that we try to convince ourselves that we do not like those, we do not love those things we couldn't afford. As we pretended not to like the things we couldn't afford that period, just so that we can be contented with what we had. And then if you see us strolling on the road, you know that we are trekking for lack of transportation. We'll be laughing, just hold our hands,
dress up,
and we dress
make
well,
up.
make look good.
You'll be the one saying, "Oh, maybe they parked their car somewhere."
Yes.
We actually trekking.
A friend of mine actually saw me one of those days and wanted to. I said, "Where are people up to?" I said, "Well, we're just trying to keep fit, so just to stroll." And I'm sorry,
Did you lie?
it's not a lie. Abraham had to say that his wife is a sister,
Okay.
But we're just trying to keep fit, actually, then too. But just that it was compulsory keeping fit.
I'm telling you.
We were compulsory keeping fit. For more than 3 months, we were trekking down from Adelaide to July, pastors around service, trek back to the house till things started picking up gradually. But if we don't tell you, you won't notice it. You won't know.
Okay, for me, what makes marriage different from any other kind of relationship is the understanding that when you're married, you and your spouse become one. If you are comparing marriage with any other kind of, let's say, relationship that exists, in the family, say brother, sister, or colleague, whatever, you see yourself and the person as two different people, or you and the other people are different. But when it comes to marriage, you are your husband is you, So I think that's what makes it different for me. You don't hurt your partner, because if you hurt your partner, you hurt yourself. Even if I'm not saying you should hurt some other person. But then the marital relationship is such that you and your spouse are one.
Well, I also think that what makes marriage different from every other relationship is that marriage is the only relationship that you don't set boundaries. If you're my twin brother, my twin sister, that doesn't mean I should now undress myself before you. There are certain aspects of me you shouldn't see, you shouldn't know about. There are certain qualities, certain character about me you will not see, because you're not going to live with me forever. But my spouse will live with me every day, every time, and then see everything about me. Yeah. So I just think that's what makes it different. This is the time that my son here will say, ooh la la. There are certain questions I ask my son, he will say, ooh la la. Mm-hmm. Okay, I knew I was ready to get married because there was this cry deep down my heart.
All right.
I became so uncomfortable with singlehood. Nobody was pressurizing me. I was not under any kind of external pressure.
Okay.
But I became so uncomfortable with being single I started desiring having a family. Sometimes I started picturing myself in a family with my wife, my kids.
Where you bought a car for your wife.
Yes, when I bought the car for my wife.
Jet.
And that's why after doing a honeymoon, I promised I'm going to buy a private jet.
I've not
But I've gotten the toy one first. You must start from somewhere now. You can see I got the toy one first, and the remaining the real one as a sample.
Yes.
So I just had this. I became so uncomfortable being single. Each time I see couples, I just feel like, oh, I wish I'm married. I wish I was married, and stuff like that. And I started working towards it, not because of any external pressure. It was like more of a personal pressure, inbuilt or pressure from the inside, not from the outside.
Well, the thing is, my answer is not, different from his. There's a point you get to in life, you just realize, like self-realization, that you are ripe for marriage. Your emotions begin to crave for, an opposite sex, a life partner. You want to build your life with somebody, and that's just it for me. I think it had to do with growth, my emotional growth, and every other kind of, Okay, well, for me, I attended marriage seminars. I read books on marriage. I also watched married people, not just married people, the people who enjoy their marriages, And of course, I see movies that have to do with marriage. And even if the movie is not about marriage, but once I see that there is a couple in the movie, I tend to study them. Okay, what are the strengths in this marriage? What were they doing wrong? And I told myself that when I got married, I would try to do the good things they did, maybe if it were a movie, and improve on it. And then the bad side of the couple, I say, oh, when I get married, I won't do this. And to a large extent, that has helped. And I also pray to God to help me in marriage and also give me a good person, So,
like me.
And that's why I keep appreciating God. Maybe it's a small prayer I pray the head, for giving me this man here as my husband.
Well, some of things she said that she did, I also did. I also was very prayerful because I know I didn't want to make a mistake in marriage. So I was praying, God, give me a wife. God, give me, this is the type of woman I want, but you know the best for me. Let your will be done, but just make make my wish to be in line with your will. Let me wish what you will. And then I started praying to God, and also I attended marriage seminars. There's one marriage seminar I attended regularly, Singles in Transit, by Pastor Kenny Ajibade. I attended severally. I also attended a lot. I read books. I related to married people. I also had married friends. And then, but what made my own marriage is that when I met my wife, and then we agreed getting married, we were preparing for a wedding. From the day we agreed getting married, we decided that we fasted every Tuesday till our wedding day. So every Tuesday we fast. We had me, my wife, myself, and then two other pastors that were under me that joined us to pray every Tuesday, fast and break by 3 o'clock. I will never skip one Tuesday till our wedding day. And we were praying for our home, our future, our marriage, and stuff like that. And God answered those prayers.
Have we ever had any disagreements?
Well, the truth is this. Even twin brothers do disagree sometimes. Even I don't think it is possible to have two human beings
I always
that
agree.
grew up from different homes, never met themselves. Maybe the woman has spent 20-something years of her life and the man has spent 30-something years of his life before they came together. And then they're not disagreeing anything or any day. It's going to be very difficult for me to believe that.
Possible.
Yes. We've had disagreements, but what we have not had is that we have never allowed any disagreement to lead to quarrel. We have never quarreled before since we got married, but we've had disagreements. And how we handle these disagreements is that I take the decisions, but I also respect her suggestions. I don't just take decisions without considering her suggestions. And so when she makes suggestions that sometimes is not in tandem with what I would have taken to be my decision, I try to weigh options, weigh things. And then because I know that I married a very intelligent woman, so I also believe that sometimes assuming this thing she's saying is the right one, and this my own feeling may not be right. So I just take her own sometimes. And sometimes I go with my own decisions too.
Even if I don't.
But one thing God has done for us is that even when we disagree, we are never mad at each other simultaneously. If I'm angry, if I know that she's not angry at that point. If she's angry, if I know I'm not angry at that point. So when one person is angry and the other one is not angry, if I know the other one that is not angry, we find to make certain resolutions and solve issues. And we are quick to apologize to each other.
Yeah.
We come to realize that she's a human being. And one thing I also love about her is that sometimes too, let me confess. This is a true confession. There are times she makes her suggestions and I just believe so much in this my decision and I don't want to change it. And then later on, after that this my decision was wrong, her suggestion would have been better. And then I'm like, when a dog is defeated, you put your tail in between your two legs. And what if I to attack me to say, didn't I tell you if you had done it the way I said or this, that. But instead, she will tell me that, see, we're all human beings. I'm bound to make mistakes. And then you see her telling me again that, what if you had taken my own suggestion and it didn't turn out well? So for that she doesn't crucify me for not taking her suggestion, and then I'll be dealing with myself, and then I'll find ways to make it up to her.
Let guilty conscience stop you.
Well, for a minister to strike a balance between his marriage and his ministry, that means I must understand the place of spirituality and the place of romance. And then that means I must understand that your marriage is not inferior to your ministry. In fact, your marriage is the integral part of your ministry. How do I mean? Even the Bible that we preach say that a man should love his wife as Christ loved the church. That is that your relationship with your wife should reflect your relationship with Christ. So if you always devote time to your ministry, I have little or no attention to your marriage as a spouse or to your family, then that area will suffer. It is like me, if I use myself as a person, I have time, I go out for ministrations as a minister. I have time, I go out for flexing with my wife, grooving, you get me? I have time, I stay in the house to see the face of God and pray and fast. I also have time, I stay in the house to look at this beautiful face and then put some smiles on this face. And then the truth is, most of the time I want to stay with my wife. There is nothing you do to pull me out to do any other thing. Like today, this evening by 6 p.m., we have an outing date. I'm taking her out today already. So now, even if you give me an appointment that I should come and preach, I come and minister here, I'll have a date with my wife. And date with my wife is as important as my date with my ministry, because my marriage is as important as my ministry. If there's a crack in my marriage, it can create a crash in my ministry.
True.
You understand? So, saying that, oh, I'm a very good minister, oh, this minister is anointed, and then he's not doing well in his marriage, leave it. Because even the Bible says that if both of us were not united, my prayers can be hindered.
Yeah.
So, which means even God is saying, no matter how righteous you are, if you are not in agreement, alliance with your wife, me will never answer your prayer, I will not answer you. So go and sort out things properly with you. So my marriage is not inferior to my ministry. I place my ministry and my marriage at the same pedestal. That there must be an equilibrium. They are both in equilibrium position. So I strike a balance in that.
No, not at all. I don't think so. Because from the moment I decided to marry him, of course, he was already a senior pastor before I married him. So from the moment I decided to marry him, I saw myself as being part and parcel of his programs, of his ministry. I support his ministry. He supports whatever it is that God has asked me to do. And that's why sometimes, not sometimes, every time, except on one or two occasions where I have to go to court or there's some work I'm doing. But if he's going out to preach, I go with him. I even sing before he preaches. He also sings as well. And I am in his band. So I'm the lead vocalist in his band.
And I'm the manager in her band. I have my band. She has a band, but she's the vocalist in my band. I'm the manager in her band.
Okay. So you can see that our lives, are such that we get involved in each other's business. Okay? I'm not competing for his attention. He loves me and he appreciates me, and I know that.